So,
Mhm.
Juliette, thank you so
Yes.
much for joining us for the
No problem.
interview.
Thank
Do you
you.
want to take a few minutes and introduce yourself with a little bit of your professional background?
Sure. So, as a 40-year-old mom, single mom, I became a nurse not so long ago. I would say literally 5 years. Um, what made me go into nursing? My mom was diagnosed with cancer. And then there was one particular nurse that would always come in cheerful and be, extra pump whenever she comes in. She said, just because you're sick, that doesn't mean you're dying. You should live every minute like it's your last and be happy that you're here and you're getting the help that you need. And then in the time she's saying that, I'm like, that's not what we want to think about. We want to talk about we got to make it through the cancer. But every time she was not there, I was looking for her pump personality to just come in and make us feel good. So with that said, I was like, maybe I should be into nursing. But that didn't kick in up until I was 28 years old. I was already graduated from college as a teacher, but I was working in healthcare anyway. And one resident was going to celebrate her birthday, and they asked her, how old is she turning? She said, oh, just 22. And I turned around, I looked, I was like, here I am, 28, answering call bell at the hospital. And she's 22 as a resident. This got to be a better situation for me. And from then on, I persevered. Whatever school I wanted to go apply to, I didn't have enough sciences, but that did not stop me from going to go to the next school. Well, they let me take the prerequisite for nursing. I took the nursing entrance exam many times. I didn't pass. I just kept on saying I did not fail. It's just this school is not for me. So I kept on doing it and doing it. Finally, the school that I got in, and I scored 85. I never scored that high. I was like, give me that paper. Let me see. To me. I was like, is this my name? She said, yes, it is. I was like, are you sure? She said, yes. I said, okay, let's do it. Because I was scared of school loan as well. I was like, let's do it. And I did it. Once I got in, I gave it 110. I became selfish to my kids. They were younger. I said, this is going to be our future. I need the financial freedom for myself, and I need to make a difference within my community.
Okay, I think that's great. And so going back to those early stages of when you were making that decision, right?
Yes.
You really saw what impact that nurse had on your family, not just for physical health, but emotionally.
Yes.
There are so many nurses that are in school right now that know they want to get there, but the road is really hard. There's a lot of education, there's a lot of training, and there's a lot of uncertainty. What
Mm-hmm.
are some of the things that you did that helped you get through that hard transition period so you can be that bright individual that really pumps everyone up?
I have a strong faith. With that said, um, even when I didn't, because passing nursing classes was 77 for my session.
Mhm.
I have a strong faith. So I've met people in the long way that will tell me, persevere, no matter what, you have to persevere. I know I have a greater purpose. So nothing is easy. If it was easy, everybody else would do it. So due to the fact that I'm on the road, I can do it, I will do it, and I have to do it. And I will look into my kids. I was like, you know what? They will be proud of me later on in life to know that I make a difference in somebody else's life. And that's exactly what kept me going.
With each generation, we're seeing more and more people having access to being able to enter the field of healthcare. It's not
Of
just
course.
doctors, and we don't think about
Exactly.
it from such a traditional sense anymore. There
And
are so many different fields.
I think too with COVID, it opened a lot of people's minds and ideas where, even though if I don't want to do a doctor or whatever, it's best to be in the healthcare industry because health is really your wealth. Because you don't have it, you don't feel good, you can't do what you're supposed to do. You don't have the energy, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, whatever health it is, you need it to go on the next day. And if you don't have it, you won't feel good about yourself. So I think a lot of people eyes has opened like, okay, we need to like stop playing around. Let's focus on what can we help the next person about, whether you can be a better cook to help the next person. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
whatever you can do, put 110 behind it. That way, you know, you'll benefit from it financially, but at the same time, you're helping the next person feel better about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that you talked about a little bit earlier that I want to ask you is your mentorship for all the people that work around you that are maybe earlier in their career. How did that come about? Did you just jump into that leadership role and start giving advice? What happened there?
I've dealt with a lot of bullyism in nursing school, where there was the professor or people at clinicals. I always say to myself, I will never be like that. This is not what I want people to feel like. Where my senior session, the professor will make us feel bad, like if we forgot a simple lab value. Or you have some people who are tactile learning, and you have some that remember stuff. Just because you remember it, the number, doesn't mean you can analyze it. But at the same time, he made us feel like if you didn't know a question, he called us apples and oranges. If you know it, you were the apple. If you didn't know it, you were sour oranges. And so that's not to a point where my classmates and I, we still joke around. We say, okay, who wants to be orange today? We joke about it now, but we didn't feel good about it. You barely wanted to answer a question because you didn't want to be the orange in front of the whole class. And then nursing students already compete among each other, and they will sneak, she doesn't know it. You don't want that. I have clinical instructors who will make us feel less of a person that we are in front of the patient. Oh, you're a nurse, by this time you should have known this IV, da da da. I'm like, you don't want that. You want to take the person to the side. You don't know what type of day I'm having. I don't know what type of day you're having. And then by being a student coming in there, I thank the patient for allowing us to be in there. But now you're making us feel stupid in front of the patient. They're not going to want us in the room anymore. So I never wanted to be that person. I said, oh my God, how could you want to make, and I was already an older student. So I was like, this is so wrong. This is so wrong. You can either make somebody quit, or you can encourage them and make them feel powerful to continue. And I never wanted to be that person. But I dealt a lot with bullying in nursing school.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so heartbreaking, is because it doesn't need to be that way, right?
No.
Everyone is fighting for the best patient care. At the end of the day, that's what everyone's there for. But the NCLEX is a very stressful test, right? And I think
I broke into hives when I took it the first time. I passed on the third time. I broke into hives the first time, and I thought I had it the second time. I went in and I looked around. I see no one was there, and I started clicking again. And then I got so panicked. I was like clicking, and then after I finished, I was like, my clinic said, if you get in questions, you're doing good. So calm down, read the questions, and keep going. I was like, oh my God, I fell. And literally when I got home, I was like, I didn't want to look at it. I know I fell. But the third time, I was like, I can't keep paying for this test. I cannot. And I need to get it done because it's a 45 days before you can take it again. And I keep paying the $200. I gave myself the same advice I would give somebody. I gave myself a month and a half. Mark Clement was in my ear, going to the shower, going to bed, walking on the street. I was repeating labs. Wherever it was, I have note cards everywhere. I was listening to everything he was saying, and I would log into my computer at work. That time I was doing clerical work. Whenever it was a downtime, I would go on UWorld, answer all the questions. If I didn't get it right, I would look at the breakdown of how I got it wrong. Why did I get it wrong? And then sure enough, after a month and a half, the third time, when you go in, you're not nervous anymore. You calm. And at 122 questions, and then the computer shut down. The last questions was about 4 patients into a labor room. Which one would I see first? I clicked the right answer. Mark Clement said, if you pick the right answer and you know that's the right answer and the computer shuts down, you pass. I didn't even bother to look at the because you could go on the computer to see if you pass. If you register again, it lets you in. That means you didn't pass. If you register again, it tells you just register for this class. Then you pass. So I didn't even bother to do that. I just waited, and I knew I passed. I was like, and I was so happy with myself. I listened. You have to listen to the people that went through it, and I listened to it, and I did it.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. Would you advise newer grads to do the same thing, to cycle around from different areas and get that exposure before they make a decision about where they want
If
to be?
they are taking you, I would say yes, because most places will tell you, well, you need experience. But how am I gonna get the experience if you don't give me the chance? So if someone is giving you the chance, I would say yes, take it, give them a year. And if you don't like it or you're not happy about it, talk to your manager. Say if it's in the hospital, talk to your manager. Maybe you want to try a different department.
Do you think that new nurses are set up to be able to set up those boundaries, or is that something you learn over time?
I would say for us, fortunately, as a nurse, okay, the world is ours. We can go to any department. We have to be assertive. We have to be positive. So with that said, I would say get the experience for at least 6 months if you can. But if it's really bothering you physically, like I couldn't stand 8 hours with a 30-minute break, no, I couldn't do it. And it was a fast pace. It was like this, like that. There was no way to sit down and take a deep breath. So I would not say don't put your health into danger, because what happened when you break down? Because there's another nurse waiting to get that job. They're gonna tell you, okay, bye, and they take the next person. So as much as you want to help the next person, you have to think about yourself. You have to think about your health, physically, mentally, if you really want to be there. Because you don't want to go in there angry and not mentally be there, because you're not gonna serve the patients rightfully. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, no, I would not tell anybody force yourself to be there just because. No, if you don't feel it, please. As early as possible, tell the manager or whomever, like, how do you do it? Can I do it? No.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's good advice. So when we're thinking about people, this is before anyone's even dedicated themselves to nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some, I guess, maybe misconceptions or common mistakes that people think about will exist in healthcare and maybe doesn't exist? What is the reality of working in healthcare? What's something that you would advise even early college students or even high school students that are thinking about it and really aren't sure what they want to do?
It can be fun if you wanted to. You can make it fun. It can be stressful. I would say the biggest part for me is that bothers me the most is when you work in a hospital. Most hospital, 90% of them, you have to go night. You have to work night, and that's what I'm battling now. Like they don't have day shift position, and I want to go to days. After working nights, especially if your unit is busy, you go home, you're drained. You're literally like sleeping all day. On my off days, that's what I do. I sleep all day. So you have to start finding a balance for yourself. It is hard. Living in New York City is hard. You have to work. You have to pay bills. You have to, it's a lot of stuff you have to do. But think about yourself first. Self-care.
And now I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with DirectShifts. What has that been like for you? What's some feedback that we can take, that what things we've done really well and things that we need to improve on?
Directions have been good. I like the app. I use the app to put my timesheet in, and when I need somebody, I'm able to email anyone and they get back to me in time efficiently. So that's good.
So do you have, before we wrap up the interview, do you have any last bit of advice for new grads, people starting in healthcare, going in and working towards their RN? Anything that you didn't say before that you want to make sure you get out?
I would say be confident within yourself. You already did the hard work. You went to school. You did the hard work. You sat in crazy NCLEX world. You passed your professional, your career person. Now be positive. Yes, the nursing career has money in it, but let's think back. What made you start in nursing is to care for the person. You don't want to put anyone into danger. If you don't know anything, it's best to ask. Whether or not the person's going to be mad, in the nursing field, someone is always willing to tell you, always willing to help you, so you don't make any fatal mistake that will harm the patient or that will harm you and make you lose your license. So put that in mind, that I am caring for the person. This is the same treatment I would want somebody to give my mom, my dad, my loved ones, my kids. And you do it that way. Once you do it with your heart and you pray before you go, everything else will fall into place.